morning, everyone. Welcome to the Brady Reunion Show. Now, we got a lot of panelists today. I'd like to call up the sponsor for our Tech Trends Roundup session, Tom Nelson, who is the president of UTour. Tom, come on up.
Thanks, John. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me here. I'll try to keep this brief so we can get on to the great content and let you guys enjoy your breakfast as well. But just real quick, wanted to introduce you to UTour. We have a lot of friendly faces, a lot of clients in the room, so thank you. But for those that may not be available, aware, we just wanted to share some information about self-guided tours. But rather than it be a sales pitch, I just wanted to share with you just some very quick points on, first of all, why do home shoppers enjoy self-guided tours? And then what's really the hidden benefit to a builder as well for providing the service? So really there's a big consumer demand. If you were in our session yesterday, we talked about how the growing demand that consumers have for a self-service experience. But we did a survey where we literally asked the builder home shoppers who registered for a home builder's on a home builder's website but never showed up at the community, and we just literally asked them why. Why did you not? You were interested in something, but you never actually showed up for your appointment. You never showed up on site. 51% told us that they couldn't get there between 10 and 6. And the lack of convenience of availability of the sales center hours are one of the reasons why consumers really like enjoying doing self-guided tours on their own schedule. And Zillow came out with they do an industry report every year, and their data basically says that 70% said that it would be easier if they could just go unlock the property with their phone, with a code that's on their phone, and get into the home. And 64% were also more likely to tour if they didn't have to meet with a salesperson on the first visit. And again, this is Zillow's data. Don't yell at me at the messenger. But the point is what we unpack this a little bit is that it's not that the shopper never wants to talk to your sales team. They just don't want to do it on the very first visit. They tell us they just want to go see for themselves, does it look as good in person as it does online? If it does, then they're ready to have a conversation. But really, it's about that no-pressure sales environment is what they're basically looking for, and they still want to come see the home. If you come to these kinds of conferences, we talked about it yesterday, there's all kinds of buzz about buy online. And yes, absolutely, it's where things are going, and you should be doing that, but it's not the only way people are going to transact. They still want to physically see something, and the data tells us that they want to do their discovery virtually and anonymously, and then at some point, though, they're going to want to see something before they actually make a decision. A lot of the data that's out there about buying sight unseen is a little bit skewed because of COVID and also because of investors. And so what's in it for you as the builder if you were to provide self-guided tours? Well, we can save money. That's the number one thing here, because we can automate a lot of the issues that you deal with today. We can get more people into those homes, but from a staffing standpoint, home builders are not immune to the great resignation. You're all dealing with it as well. But as simple as just on your days off that the salesperson's off during the week, every builder has to give their salespeople off 2 days. It's usually Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You can just make those homes self-guided on those off days and allow people to tour those homes. And the cost of us for a month is equal to 1 day of staffing it with a temp. Closeout communities. You're down to just a few home sites. Why staff the model when we're really just nearing the end of that community? We're doing a lot of sales hubs for builders. If any of you have multiple product types in the same community, for example, if you have single-family homes and townhomes, they're not next to each other in a model park. They're usually in different sections of the community. You model each. Typically, we then staff both of those models. Well, we have a lot of builders that are they're just staffing one model in one of those homes and making the other models in that community self-guided. So lots of great ways to create efficiencies to help augment your team. Now, the last 2 years, the other issue has been volume, right? We're just overwhelmed. We talk to a lot of online sales counselors who say, the biggest issue I have is that I can't get the leads, an appointment with the on-site salesperson. Well, the nice thing about self-guided tours is that it allows people to go through the process that doesn't require human resources. So it's another great way to help manage volume. Now, our platform allows the sales team to have oversight, and they can see activity in real time. With some of our engagements with AI voice and text, salespeople can actually jump into the conversations via text if they'd like. So we still give them the ability. We're not trying to replace, we're trying to augment. So we're not saying it's self-guided tours versus a sales team. We're saying we're an extended arm of the sales team that can automate a lot of things to make it scalable and repeatable, to make it easier for the salespeople and hopefully bring them a better qualified lead. And that's what we're really trying to do. We're trying to reduce the friction points. Okay, we typically in our industry, we've always looked at things as either walk-in traffic, physical, or online leads. We're kind of bridging the gap between both worlds because we know that the home shopper at some point wants to get out of the digital world into the online world, but they may not be ready to sit through an entire sales presentation and schedule an appointment with an on-site salesperson. And so what we're really trying to do is help them get further along in their discovery. So by the time they talk to a salesperson, they've seen it online, they've seen it in person, and now we feel we're much further down the road with that lead that we just handed over to your salesperson. And so we're offering a fully integrated approach. There's a lot of marketing content our platform has that we provide to you. It's a lead generator, obviously, as people reserve their tours, and it's got nurturing and on-site experience. And the thing we're most proud of is that we are an open ecosystem. We are as hardware agnostic and as platform agnostic as we can be. If we don't have a platform we haven't integrated with, it's because no one's asked us to, or we're in the process of it right now. We're constantly growing our list of integrations and our partners, and we're grateful for all the companies you see here and the ones that we're actively working on behind the scenes. So with that, I just want to say thank you, and come on by and see us at the booth. We're at 503 today, and we look forward to chatting with you. Thank you.
Okay, our topic today, Tech Trends Roundup. So a lot of the program for high-volume builders this year is focused on process issues, but I wanted to focus on product, technology, applications, in this session, and that's why we've got the Brady Bunch reunion here. We have got 5 panelists who are representing categories of products, applications, and services, and are going to talk us through some of the trend lines there. So on our process continuum, I guess this is in the merchandise planning side of things. This is kind of understanding whether some of these applications and product areas are categories that you want to get into. So I'm John Galante. Down at the end there is Barbara Bedgood with ADT, who's on point with builder relationships nationwide, I think. You've got a territory. Colin Billings is next to me here, who's the CEO and founder of Oro, which is a newer player on the scene in lighting and home control. We have Arc of Achievement Award honoree Bob Fallert.
Thanks, John.
From La Grande. I was going to do his whole segment in a French accent, but I don't think I can do it.
It's not working, John.
No. Joseph Hillenmeyer is with us from April Air, and then Dan Ross from Savant. So it's a great group of leaders from vendors and service providers here. Our flow is going to be across the table here. We'll start with Colin on lighting experiences. We'll do IAQ with Joseph, Smart Clean Energy with Dan, work from home, home office with Bob. We'll talk about remote monitoring and management with Barb. And then everyone will weigh in on user interface and platforms, and we'll have a freewheeling discussion on that. Sound fair? All right, here we go. So Colin, I'm passing the ritual clicker to you, because you know your slides better than I do, but we have some things we want to talk through on the lighting experiences, lighting control side of things. First, let's just talk about some of the fundamentals that have been around for a while, the convenience type applications, the safety and peace of mind sort of applications. I mean, I know there are a lot of builders out here who are playing with a little bit of lighting control, but doesn't almost every consumer want the ability to remote control light the exterior of their house so that when they arrive, they've got a well-lit property and they have that sense of security? And don't they want path of access and egress to be remotely controllable at a minimum? And what about convenience type features like I'm going into critical viewing mode on watching TV? Don't I want to be able to easily dim the lights, with a remote control while I'm in my lean back? I mean, these are things that I think 80-90% of the public either want or didn't know that they would appreciate. So talk a little bit about that for starters.
Yeah, we're absolutely seeing an overwhelming interest in lighting, and particularly smart lighting controls applications. Light is subtle, but it's actually playing a role in every moment of your life, right? Whether it's your safety, being able to see at night, or how it makes you feel when you come to a home at night, and how it makes you feel safe. And so we've historically had to manually control this, right? Walking over to a light switch or flipping a button somewhere in your home. That's really not something that's necessary anymore. It can be much more automatic and responsive. But one thing that always sort of stuns me is that the light switch is the most interacted with device in the home today. A person will touch a light switch about 50 times. And so that's just an example of how often people are managing light in their home to get to the life that they want, to get to the feeling that they want. And so lighting control systems like Oro and some of the others that are available really make that simpler, easier, right? Just the same way that that your different systems in your home are going to work to support your life, your light should do the same.
Yeah. So let's dig in a little bit on energy savings, which I think has been one of the promised benefits of lighting control, but maybe not as fully realized. I think we're all familiar with occupancy sensors, that somebody is quietly reading in a room and suddenly the lights go off. Not a great user experience, but you guys are doing some stuff with your technology to make the energy savings piece happen without inconvenience and lifestyle disruption, right?
Yeah, this is, historically occupancy controls, daylight harvesting, all of these things that have really promised, hey, we're going to get to 50% energy savings on lighting, have never really been realized, right? I think UC Davis did a study, and they saw that when you sort of leave these systems on their own and you're using a single system, right, whether it's motion for occupancy or a daylight sensor, really never get beyond 30% energy reduction. At Oro, we've actually taken an approach of doing a lot more on the sensor front. So we're using motion, sound, and light to 24/7, 365 days a year, measure and understand how a space is being used, how it's being lit, and how the occupants are using it, and actually putting software on our switches that allow us to automatically adjust that. Right. We're seeing in Oro homes about 90% of the lighting adjustments being done by Oro itself, right. And that against the national average, about an 80% reduction in lamp hours.
Right. So the inclusion of these sensing technologies on the occupancy side, on the energy saving side, the motion detection combined with the sound is going to get us a sense that somebody's really not there using the room, because if they're relatively still, they may be creating sound, and you're picking that stuff up and your software is responding to it, right?
We set out to solve the Netflix problem, right? Yeah. Where you're sitting on your couch, you're watching TV. It's very clear to anybody else at home that there's someone there, yep. But a traditional occupancy sensor will just turn the light off on a person there. Right. This information is not just used for lighting as well, right? It's to speak to the energy efficiency side. We're starting to use this information about the home and how people are using it to do things like adjust your heating and cooling, which is the major consumer of electricity or power in the home. And so really getting to energy efficiency on a home-wide basis is a very near-term goal for us.
So this is actually the light switch is a very cool space right now, right? Because there are a lot of, you guys aren't the only ones. There are others who are including sensing technologies, and you're right, it is one of the legacy user interfaces that's used most. It's also ubiquitous. It's all over the house. So there's ways to tag team these technologies in a ubiquitous, component in homes, and something that people are familiar interacting with. So we could probably do a whole session on what's going on with light switches, but it's cool.
I think the other way of thinking about it from a builder perspective is, how am I being efficient with my spend? Right? Yep. You're already going to be putting a lighting control in almost every single space in the home. So what can you do at that location? And there are, Oro's not the only one out there that have options for you. So we highly encourage all of our builder partners to think about the light switch as a once forgotten, but now very important part of the home.
Okay, so let's go to the light itself now, right? And I don't know what kind of awareness we have in the room there's a lot of different names for this, and this is part of the problem, whether it's circadian rhythm or natural lighting or human-centric lighting. The industry has not settled on a single term, but the idea is basically that the color temperature of the light will match the color temperature changes over the course of the day, and this has salutary effects for our health and sense of wellness. I think it's been something that's been thought to be more of a luxury application in its early phase, but I think it's coming for high-volume builders in the middle market from a price perspective, as part of healthy home packages and what have you, and Dan's nodding, they have some solutions in this category too. But let's talk about that. How do we get that set of products or that application out of the luxe market and into the mainstream?
Well, I think the demand is what's making that happen, right? We've all spent a good part of 2 years at home, and all across the category, we're seeing investments and interest in improving the home experience around health and wellness. Light is a huge part of that. There are two components to healthy lighting. One is the intensity, so the dimming of the light, and how that sort of goes throughout the course of the day and based on your patterns. And the other is the actual light source itself. Historically, the light sources have been extremely expensive. Think of products like Ketra. You're looking at $600 a bulb to really emit the right circadian light. But I think if you talk to some of the people that are on the light source side here this week, they're coming for the $40, the $30 price point, which at the LED level is much more affordable and possible to put in those rooms where there's a big impact. So I think it's technology going through its journey of going from very expensive to very accessible.
Yeah, and we were going to talk about aesthetics and lighting artwork and stuff, but I think we're out of time for that. So we're going to do the ritual clicker pass to Joseph, and he's going to tell us all about indoor air quality. You're going to tell us what the baseline should be, and then you're going to tell us why it isn't happening, or it's only happening 10% of the time, and how do we get to much higher penetration rates, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So one of the reasons why the baseline might be low is as manufacturers, we've set the baseline pretty high. We're saying that's air purification, humidification, and ventilation. So we want to bring outdoor air in, fresh, healthy outdoor air. We want to purify the air that's in the home to remove particulate matter, PM 2.5, allergens. And then humidity in particular, the moisture in the home. Typically in the building industry, we're more concerned about removing it. However, in certain climates, adding it is very important for health as well. And if you're not controlling all of those aspects, you're really not doing everything you can for health. I mean, there's integration between all of those, whether you're talking about viruses, allergies, asthma. You need to control all of those to help.
The big three are humidity, purification, and
fresh air ventilation.
Fresh air.
Yep.
Right, and it's build, tight, and ventilate, right? But those are big. Joseph's been banned from referencing ASHRAE 62.2.
Yeah.
We have a ban on that. We're not going to talk about compliance with ASHRAE codes because consumers don't know what they are or care.
I agree with you too, because they're not the primary driver anymore, and they're not going to be. Codes and standards are not the reason that these need to be included in homes. They need to be included because they're the right thing to do and because consumers are asking for them.
Right. So. Keep going. Show us more.
So that's baseline. You always want to control those three. There's certainly within those categories, you can do a little bit more from an upgrade standpoint as far as higher efficiency filtration, maybe go from a MERV 13 to a MERV 16 if there's particular need in the home to remove a finer type of particulate. You can also radon is one that an area we've recently gotten into that's extremely important. I mean, it's the #2 cause of lung cancer after smoking in the country. And while it does have pockets where it's more common than others, you really don't know unless you test. So I think as we see more testing happen, as we see air sensors and things get in the home, more people are going to be aware of radon. That's going to continue to push this category up. And installing that on the front end or offering that, allowing them to know that they have that protection should those levels spike will be something.
I mean, that's really interesting. I don't think the average consumer thinks of radon in the air. They think of radon like there's a nuclear, there's nuclear decay going on and they're being bombarded with nuclear rays, but it is an air quality issue.
Yes,
right?
it's coming up through the ground, and when it does, it's in the air, and we breathe it in, and that's when it does most damage to us. Yeah. Sometimes you can find it in water too, but it's most dangerous when we're breathing it.
Interesting.
And historically, it's kind of been something that it comes up during when you're looking at contingencies for buying or selling a home. I think we're going to see it start to move outside of that.
So your estimate is that 10% of the new homes being built are hitting the baseline on this with the fresh air, the humidification, and the purity. My question to you was why only 10% and how do we get to a better number? Because this is something that's good for the consumers, and there's certainly a lot of interest in health and good air quality in the wake of the pandemic. We got to be doing better than 10% somehow,
I think
right?
one reason is for a long time IAQ has been kind of relegated to the service and replacement market. So after somebody moves into a home, they discover these issues, and then the HVAC trade comes out and makes those improvements. With more awareness, people aren't waiting to have these issues to get them fixed. They're going to want them on the front end, and that's why the baseline 10% is going to come up just because more homeowners are going to start demanding it, regardless of the style of home, whether it's a luxury home, a tract home. Once they're aware that they can get better health through their home, they're going to want it.
So don't you have some slides here on more on this telling the story in the cell? Yeah.
So the other way to get above that 10% is to change the story and to start telling it. The main reason it's at 10% is because we don't really talk about it, I think, enough as an industry during the sales process. And we know that IAQ is never going to get more time than the countertops or the cabinets, but it has to get more time than it's getting now. And part of that story is telling it so that homeowners understand it. In the IAQ industry, we've been guilty for a long time of we thought, well, we'll make everybody an IAQ expert and then they'll want IAQ products. That's never going to happen. We can't get everybody that level of education. Talk about the peace of mind they get knowing that they're healthy. Talk about that this is the air that they breathe that you're impacting. They can't see it, but that's what these mechanicals are fixing is your air quality. And just feeling the difference. I mean, there's comfort along with health that comes along when these products are installed that, if people have never had them in their home or they're a first-time buyer moving from an apartment where they didn't have a lot of control, they really will experience significant benefits from
How do we make that case without them living with it? Because like it's chicken and the egg, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, buy this and you'll feel better, but how do I know? It's invisible, you're telling me this vague stuff. I mean, how do we make that case? It's not easy.
It's not, and I think, we've worked with a lot of builders in a lot of different ways. How do you show them on a tour what these products are and what they do? And we continue to develop that along with builders on how we kind of make the unseen seen for homeowners that are in there. There's a lot more that you can start making from a claims standpoint, not ASHRAE in those, but CDC, more and more health-based organizations are coming out and saying, here are the aspects of IAQ and what parts of health are beneficial for and why. So being able to incorporate some of that into the message will help a lot as well.
Yeah.
Too.
And we're going to talk about work from home for a while, but air quality has been an ergonomic issue in workplaces for a long time. The productivity of people at different temperatures with different freshness of air is actually studied because there's financial folks that care about that stuff. So we got to figure out how to bring some of that, right?
Yeah, and I mean, sick building syndrome, from the 70s in office buildings is really kind of what started indoor air quality. And now with people working at home, they've realized that their home offices are perhaps a lot like those office buildings. So that's just, when you build homes really tight, and as we've done with homes, they did that, commercially with office spaces long before we were doing it residentially during the oil crisis to bring down energy costs. And that was when you started to realize when you prevented that outdoor air from coming in to reduce your heating and cooling costs, all this other stuff was building up in the air and people were getting sick from it. And now we're seeing that more in residential spaces because our homes are growingly more tight than they've ever been before.
So there's some work to be done on the storytelling and how to make that maybe experiential or to have the right stats and facts, not the list of 95 allergens.
Exactly.
Right, but some that goes with the ASHRAE 62.2 claim. Something that's a little more boiled down, consumer friendly.
Yeah.
We can improve the storytelling, and then maybe we start doing better than 10% on the base.
Exactly. And we're trying to do that with our April Air Academy. It's directed at contractors as well as builders. You know, for builders, the tracks will be more related to sales training, how to, you know, short little sessions for your sales staff to give a 30, 90, 2-minute pitch on IAQ so that they can start bringing that up during discussions. Whether you're standardizing on it or selling it on an upgrade, you're going to want them to have the tools to talk about.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I don't know whether you're familiar with the Healthy Home Alliance. There's some
Yes.
folks out in California, but we're going to work with them, Tech Home Builder is, on an industry message platform so that we can kind of, on Healthy Home, define the terms and hopefully all sing from the same sound, song sheet on this. And we've done this before in the technology, with structured wiring and multi-room audio. If you could get the players to sync on a message and then get it amplified through the specifying and channel communities, then you're going to get better awareness. So I hope you'll participate in particular.
Of course. And the one other thing I'll add is if anyone's seen the Farnsworth Healthy Home 2021 study, it was shocking to me that contractors and people in the building space were second to last before other when it came to where consumers heard about healthy home or the solutions for it. So we shouldn't be the last category that's telling them about the health of their home. So definitely we need to refine that message and be delivering it.
Okay, good stuff. Pass the clicker, please.
Thank you.
Mr. Ross, let's talk smart, clean energy. Thank you, April Air.
Yeah, so we'll
First of all, tell us a little bit about Savant.
Sure, guys. So Savant really a representative of 3 overall companies. Savant is well known in the luxury space as a complete integrated smart home automation company, combining every aspect of the home into a single app personalized experience. A couple of years ago, we spun off and acquired General Electric's lighting division, which is more of our consumer-facing brand, leveraging that same Savant luxury user experience behind the GE brand. So whether you're in a $2 million home or a $200,000 home, you get that same personalized experience when you're automating the home. And the new company under Savant Incorporated, founded in 2015, is Savant Power, which has been my focus for the last couple years. Really what we see happening is a convergence between smart home and smart power. 10 years ago, I used to talk to builders and say, by 2018, every home is going to be smart. Today, congratulations, every home that's built has a smart application to it, whether it's a door lock, a thermostat, all homes are smart. But the new frontier is smart energy. Less than 1% of new homes constructed today allow a homeowner to automate or manage the energy within the home. So I hope today I can educate you guys a little bit about what the drivers are, pushing consumers towards purchasing energy resilient solutions, energy generation solutions, and where we kind of see the future of smart energy in the residential space going. So homes are becoming electrified. And the challenge with the home becoming electrified is that our infrastructure across the United States, our grid can't really handle the continued electrification of the home, while also we see the electrification of the automobile happening. If we think about EV chargers and charging stations, all of that is creating a big demand on the grid. What you're starting to see from utilities is what we call time of use pricing, where they're now increasing the rates of energy costs to the homeowner based on when they use their energy. So homeowners are looking for ways to offset those costs, whether it's from local generation or automating when and where their energy is being used across the home. But as you guys all know, as builders, you're putting more and more electrical focused products into the home versus products that use fossil fuels. And new things like EV chargers and solar panels are becoming standard, not because a builder necessarily wants to do it, but because the state or government regulation is requiring it.
Let me just jump in here for a second. Can you go back to that slide, Dan?
I can, yeah.
I did a session on this a year and a half ago when we couldn't do anything and it was COVID. and had Anna from your team participating, and I think you were in that too. And one of my points is this is a newer category for you all as builders, and I want you all to understand the anatomy of the systems, because there's a lot of manufacturers that have 3 of these bubbles and some have 2 other ones, and so it all coming at you in pieces and parts is kind of one of my themes for the last 20 years, is like, how do we get out of coming at you in pieces and parts and help you understand the whole? So these 10 bubbles really will help you understand all the different product and service categories that go into smart home power. And we actually have a guide that Nancy can hand out to you that explains some of that, defines all of these different categories that are part of the smart home power system. So I think you need to understand it holistically before you're able to shop the pieces and parts, really. And the EV piece, I think, is not to be underestimated. It can tap a significant amount of the home's power capacity, and when you get 2 or 3 EVs in the mix, and with gas prices where they are, people are buying EVs like crazy. So it's a stimulus, it's a catalyst to the homeowner thinking anew about how they're going to generate and consume power in the home. So I just wanted to touch on that.
No, that's perfect. I mean, I spent over 10 years at Savant on the smart home side before jumping on the energy side, and I did that because I truly believe that automating and managing the energy in the home will be the driver of why the millennial, Gen Z, and Gen Xers are purchasing homes. It's not because they can open their door from their phone. It's because they can truly manage not only all the smart devices in their home, like the lock, like the thermostat, but when we're looking at light switches and lighting components that are now focused on reducing the energy in the home, this is what's going to be the driving factor of the next generation of home buyers, which leads perfectly into what those consumer drivers are today. And depending on the individual, they're different. But you have those Tesla owners, right? They're concerned about the environment. They want to reduce their demand on fossil fuels. We use the term green bling inside Savant, meaning they want to tell their friends that they're energy efficient, that they're reducing their energy dependency. The second is economics. People are introducing or standardizing solar on their homes to reduce their overall utility cost, especially in places like California, where you see a significant rate hike during specific times of the day. And now there's a ton of rebates, both federally and a state level, to offset the cost of solar systems. And the next thing, and John, this is the item that I feel is the biggest future demand of a homeowner, is energy resiliency in the home. Knowing that they have the safety and security to operate their home with all of the power that they need, whether the utility grid is functioning or not. And if any of you guys are from Texas, a couple years ago, the grid was down for several weeks. And people had to live in their cars to stay warm. And if they just had energy resiliency thought through in their home could have operated as normal.
But isn't it energy independence in Texas and not resiliency? I think that's a West Coast term, resiliency, right?
We use it interchangeably, energy resiliency and energy independence. Energy independence really gives you the ability to what we say to be off-grid, right? To have no reliability on the electrical grid and be able to say, hey, I want to run just through my battery and solar system. Energy resiliency is more of that critical backup, right? A climate event has happened, someone crashed into the telephone down the road, I don't know when my power is going to come back up. I'm going to leverage my local energy generation and my local storage to power my home until the utility grid.
Americans do not trust institutions. They trust them less and less. Utilities are part of the man, the institutions. So like being separated from that there's a cultural piece to it as well as a practical and logical piece, I think.
That's right. All of your home buyers are concerned about one of these 3 items. So let's talk about how you can introduce solutions into your homes that are going to attract home buyers that are interested in about managing their energy, reducing their energy cost, or giving themselves that energy resiliency or backup in the home. So I've kind of broken this apart into a good, better, best application. And a lot of this is regionally driven. But starting with good, energy monitoring has been around forever. You can go to Amazon.com, you can buy an energy monitoring system for 50 or $100. But data that you can't do anything with isn't that valuable. So a new product that Savant has launched is a smart companion breaker module. You guys can see it upstairs at our booth. The last thing in the home to become smart is one of the oldest things in the home. It's the breaker panel. And finally, the world is transitioning to making your breaker panel, your circuit panel, smart, digitizing the breaker panel. So now homeowners can not only monitor and understand what circuit breakers are using how much energy and what devices in the home are using energy, they have the ability to manage that power and say, hey, my Tesla is 100% charged. I'm going to turn off my EV charger so I'm not wasting energy. I'm on vacation. I don't need my coffee maker running all day, every day when I'm on vacation. So a baseline, something that can be introduced at a low cost by every single builder, is a smart breaker into the breaker panel, allowing for not only that data, that information about what's happening in the home in terms of energy, but they also have the ability now to do something about it and make changes. And a quick data point, we've had several employees at Savant that have just introduced this into their home, and they can reduce their energy or utility bill by upwards of 30% simply by scheduling when and where their energy is used across the home. As we expand into a better application, if you guys are down in Florida, generators are very common. Generators aren't going anywhere. Generators tend to be fixed, meaning when the power goes off, generator kicks on and it powers your lights, maybe a stovetop, maybe an AC handler. Until you're in Texas and the grid's down for 2 or 3 weeks and all your clothes are dirty and you're sitting there, man, really wish I could clean some clothes. By introducing smart load management or smart breakers, now that generator becomes flexible, and that energy can be distributed to every single circuit in the home, right? So every single load in the home is critical in an off-grid situation. I use the term solar optimization a lot. How do you know what's going on with your solar? Now you have the ability to direct that local generation to where you want it to go. Do you want it to power your essential loads? Do you want it to power your EV charger? Or do you want it to potentially refill your batteries? And that's when you really get into the best scenario. We use the term microgrid, energy independence. This is where you're using solar, local generation, you're using local storage, and then you have the ability to manage that power. So you can distribute that energy during time of use. If the height rates are going from 25 cents a kilowatt hour to 60 cents a kilowatt hour in Northern California, you can say, I want my battery to disperse between 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. to offset those rates. You also have a critical backup system for when the power goes out in which you're using renewable energy to power the home. And unlike a generator that's dormant 99.9% of the time, a battery and solar system works 365 days a year. So it's a huge value to your home buyers. All of this has to come together with a great user experience. A homeowner has to be able to understand what's happening and make smart energy decisions based on the information that's provided to them. This is something that Savant has been doing for a long time, delivering a best-in-class, personalized user experience. And here's a quick video of kind of what a smart electrical panel looks like. We're not changing the panel, guys. I mean, we are not in the panel business. We're in the business of making your existing panels smart. We simply add in a breaker companion module. It allows us to control and monitor the flow of energy through the circuit breakers. We're not disrupting the trades. It's a generally low-cost solution to introduce smart energy into the home. Any electrician, any trade can execute on this. And then lastly, as a control company, on the Savant on the luxury side, we integrate with tens of thousands of other companies' great products. We're following that same path on the smart energy side today, where we're now compatible with all of the major circuit breaker brands such as Eaton, Schneider, ABB, Siemens, and we're continuing our partnerships with companies like Generac, Lithion Home Grid, Fortress Power, SolarEdge, Tesla Powerwalls. We are going to begin to come in and take over and manage the energy of those top-class energy solutions.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I only have 30 more slides to get through, John. That's it for me. Thank you, guys.
Pass it to Monsieur Fowler of
Yes,
Legrand.
thank you. Thank you. And thank you for bringing up the electrician, too. We love our guy.
Right.
John asked me to talk more about the work from home phenomenon. More and more of us every day are relying on that. The pandemic obviously put a big exclamation point on that. So the work from home solutions, and at Legrand, it's building the simple infrastructure that makes a lot of the things the gentlemen up here have already spoken about work. You get one chance to really do it right before the drywall goes up, before the home is finished. And there's lots of products on the market that could fix that after the fact, but they're never as good as a built-in solution. So we really emphasize what a built-in solution should look like. And we know that today's homeowners are evolving, they're changing, their needs are more specific, especially if you're working from home and your kids are being educated from home, multiple parents in two different parts of the home. So we talk about being Wi-Fi ready and looking at Wi-Fi readiness as a fourth utility. How do you build that in just like you do for other utilities? I mean, you've been addressing electric, you've been addressing power, plumbing, all your utilities. Why not Wi-Fi? Where have we gone today, or where will you go today where you're not Wi-Fi enabled? So that's part of our solution too. And we bring some ease of mind, some peace of mind to that with our CAP program. This allows us to put something in based on your drawings and your particular house and make sure that the home is Wi-Fi ready when they move in. It's not an expensive proposition. It's not overly complicated. It's actually quite simple to do. But that gives the ability for that homeowner to be on Wi-Fi in the garage, out at the pool, in the living room, in all corners of the home. And then the ISP comes in and really plugs in, just like they do with the other utilities, and empowers that home with other products. And really keeping it simple. For the high volume production builders, we're not trying to make it complicated. We make it very simple for to put these products in. Working with our contractors and our installers across the country, we make that very, very simple to implement. So think about Wi-Fi readiness. And the other thing is we have an appetite for, an unending appetite. You see this as you travel through airports and as they evolve and in your own homes. It's charging all the products that we consume today. I mean, everyone up here has a smartphone, there's tablets, there's laptops, all requiring power all the time. And not only do we want the power where we need it and when we want it, but we want it faster. We want to go from 5% on my cell phone to 95%, so I'm sure not to run out. Imagine showing up at the airport with your electronic ticket and your phone dies. What a nightmare, right? So having power where you need it, Legrand has come up with many different solutions around USB charging that have really, I think most of my high volume builders have already adopted the standard USB charging, but even that's evolving. And we don't push it that far, but manufacturers do. If you buy an Apple product, Samsung products, the Microsoft Surface tablet, they give you a charging cable that's a USB-C cable. And unless you have the right brick to plug into the outlet, now you have to find a way to do it. So that's evolving as well, and we're keeping up with that pace with some superior charging applications that help you keep up. Inductive charging. We talked a little bit about the automotive industry or the hospitality industry. You're in here with a hotel. They tend to be forerunners to what you put in the residential space. Sometimes I find that a little bit odd, John, that a $20,000 or $40,000 Malibu can have more technology than a $400,000 or $500,000 home. If you think about charging in, I think GM, Ford, they all have it now in the armrest. You can just drop your phone and it's charging without having to plug a cable in. You should be able to do that more and more around your home and as we travel throughout the country. So we've developed solutions to make it easier, to simplify the process of putting these in for the homeowners who we know, and I mean, you're all consumers yourselves. These are things that you probably wish you had or wanted to be built in the right way the first time so that you could have an efficient office space. So home office solutions have these bill of materials, these scopes of work that make it very easy for our high volume production builders to implement. make the option process easy, or standardize on certain things inside the wall that make it easier for the homeowner to adopt these solutions later on. Home office is one. The home gym, another great one. If you ever bought a treadmill or the Peloton craze that went on, you bring it home and you want to put it in this certain spot because that's where it's got to go. You got the light from outside, you want to look out the window, and what's not maybe readily available, the right power for the right piece. So thinking about that ahead of time and putting that where it needs to be is really the key to doing that. We have ways of helping our partners do that, and we've demonstrated that over and over again. So having solutions to simplify the process, building a Wi-Fi ready home so you have that utility covered. I've even seen some multi-listings, John, where they have Wi-Fi ready as a checkbox. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just think that wherever we go, that's probably
absolutely. Could you go back to slide 2? Your second slide. There you go. So when you and I were talking about this segment,
yes, I remember.
You basically explained to me that you had been on the road talking to lots of builders, and their work from home play was to say, get a 4th bedroom instead of 3, right? And I consider this a punt and an absolute blown opportunity. If there's one demographic trend that is dominant over the last 2 years, it's people working from home. I referenced this American Time Use study, and I think the last data point is 2019. It was a 2020 study or 2021 study on the 2020. We didn't have the whole pandemic effects. And it's like watching TV and sleeping are the things that people do most. If you do that now, probably working at home is the thing that people do most in terms of time consumed. And to think that the home office play is just to say get another bedroom is really punting. And I think we should go for a first down or a touchdown. And that's what this set of items is designed to address in terms of a dedicated work from home situation, because work from home has changed, right? It's video conferencing, right? This is why people can work from home now, is because they're allegedly connected to the rest of the company through video conferencing. We don't know if they have pants on, but they are allegedly connected to the rest of the company. Yeah. We don't know how tall they are, a lot of other things.
And isn't it all connected, John? Everything that the panel has already talked about ties right into this.
Yeah, but I think I wanted to dive into some of the specifics on this, because this is another situation where you have to own the whole solution, right? And it's like, some of this stuff is not going to be sold by you as the builder. Some of the stuff is going to come after the fact, or they're going to bring their own gear. But you should be have a hardwired Cat 6e run, because hardwired connections are what you want for that video conferencing connection. You don't want that on Wi-Fi with who knows what else is clogging that up. We should actually be, Bob, you guys should be specifying what the speeds should be from the ISP. I know you're not the ISP, but if we really want to own the solution for the consumer, let's tell them how fast it should be. I think the Wi-Fi is absolutely essential, and it's the untethered aspect, but I'm talking about the dedicated space where somebody can be really professional in their video conferencing. So hardwired power, absolutely, for the desktop gear, phone charging. I would put the desk in your model and just show this fully articulated. And you should, how are the monitors mounted? That could be desk-based. You guys sell equipment that's desk-based. It could also be on the wall. It depends on the configuration of the office. How are the cameras and the speaker and the mic going to be mounted? I mean, this stuff is, your survey shows ergonomics, 56% say that's the biggest pain point. The ergonomics is getting all of these, getting the camera aperture at eye height instead of up here or looking up your nostrils. So it's like, how do we get that right, show somebody a way that they can really shine in their video conferencing? We can outfit a room. We're not going to sell everything in there, but we're going to sell the infrastructure. so that they can have that. And I'm going to bet you that there are a lot of people that are going to decide to take that house because you've shown them a superior work from home situation versus folks that aren't showing them anything besides saying, get another bedroom and figure it out for yourself.
Yeah.
So just own this and grab it. And it's about partnering with your integrators or retailers even to populate all the stuff that hangs on the infrastructure. And that's why I say show versus sell. Sell the infrastructure, show the other items, and figure out how to refer them to resources to get the other items hung on it.
And it's important to know, John, how things evolve too. I mean, if you remember, as the advent of the flat panel TV came on so strong, right? What did most of my builder partners do? They adopted by having the electrician put an outlet 6 feet up the wall, and then that was it. Then what came along?
We need a little more than an outlet.
Need a little bit more than that. So, we have partners out there that sell things like Guardian with the flat panel TV pre-wire. And what does that mean? That means you get the wires you need up to the TV location. So when a homeowner moves in, what are they doing almost immediately on day one?
Hanging those TVs.
They're hanging those TVs. If they
Hanging
didn't buy
a new
brand new
TV.
ones, new TVs that they just purchased, and what are they going to do with them? All they see is an outlet on the wall. Now they're talking about a mount. They're talking about how do I get the HDMI up there? Where do I put my cable set-top box? It's probably one of the most popular sells from our installers across the country because it is so needed. And not only do they buy one, John, we have homeowners buy 5, 6 of those, scattering them throughout the house in bedrooms, home offices,
Right.
living rooms. So
Right. So I just think I'm encouraging you all to not punt on this. I'm actually aghast doing my internet research on this, that there aren't more builders that are showing full-blown Zoom room type home offices out there. I just think it's a totally blown opportunity. But I also blame our industry for not coming in a system solution way to the builders and helping them figure out the assortments, what they're going to sell, and what's going to be done aftermarket. So let's get it together on this one. This is just, it's sitting there to be seized.
I'll reiterate, solutions simplified is the way to go. And we
Okay.
pass it on.
Barbara, I don't know whether I want to click through yours or you want to click through yours. How do you feel?
You can click through mine.
I'll click.
Okay.
I want to proselytize a little bit on this.
All right, good deal.
Oh, these are some other things that go with work from home, by the way. Indoor air quality, acoustics, the sound buffering, security, so you have command and control from that office that you're tethered to. Fitness, because you're not getting around and walking around. Mindfulness, sleep, those are all things. And sleep, you've got to draw these lines between work and relaxation, and lighting and other things can affect that too. So there's other connections to the work from home trend. All right. So that map he just won't come through very clearly.
It just won't come through.
So I wanna start with a little bit of a sermon, because I hear a lot about my buyers don't want to pay monthly fees, and monitoring has been beaten up pretty badly on television commercials for the last 5 years. But I'm personally, and maybe I'm biased, I have industry connections to the security industry, but I'm extremely biased to the idea that a monitoring center, a head-end service provider that has smarts and technology and also has people sitting back there, is actually a key part of our long-term solutions on everything in the tech home. I was talking to a builder yesterday who was complaining about their lack of visibility into usage and connection rates. Well, you're not going to get that without a cloud connection to really percolate those. No field resource is going to get you the data points on that. So I'm a strong believer in the remote monitoring and management piece. I know what went on in a monitoring center 20 years ago. It wasn't a very lively place. But there's a lot more stuff being processed in there, and there's a lot more opportunity for managed services and field service interventions that can be orchestrated by the head end. So that's my sermon, is let's not dismiss it because somebody says that $20 or $30 a month is an unconscionable cost to pass along to the consumer. And it's also about the fact that the technology system is going to need ongoing support and assistance in troubleshooting. It's just like everything else. Your HVAC and your plumbing systems aren't immune to repair and service calls and maintenance plans, so why would the technology be any different? So I wanted to proselytize on that for a second, and then Barbara, if you can help people understand size and scope of ADT, and then we'll dig in a little bit more on the monitoring piece.
Absolutely, and I appreciate you giving me the chance and opportunity to talk about it. I started my career in the monitoring center, so I've lived it, breathed it. I'm really passionate about it. But let me tell you what I see from a monitoring center perspective. So at ADT, we have 9 interconnected monitoring centers across the U.S., right? So these monitoring centers are multiply redundant. But what's really exciting about these monitoring centers is the infrastructure. These are like bunkers. Like, I'm from Florida. You can ride a hurricane inside one of these places. They're huge. They're 40,000 to 95,000 square feet. And we have 4,000 service agents in these centers. What's really impressive about the monitoring center, and I kind of send some pictures for the PowerPoint, is to show you these data centers of where we're, the backup servers of everything that's out there. So we have all of these servers almost like from a Hollywood movie. Like, you see these servers, and then we have backups to these servers, and then we have a disaster site recovery center for the servers. So what does that mean to the homeowner is that they're always being protected from ADT, monitored. We're looking at every trigger that they're doing. So we're always there. And also for the person, we're always there as well, because we monitor not only the home, but also the individual. So that really excites me about the whole ADT infrastructure. But one thing, on the 4,000 agents, what we do is about 23 seconds average on a response time. And at our ADT Investor Day, Jamie Hanege, our Chief Customer Officer, she put out these numbers, and I think I have it on the PowerPoint, but I don't want to goof them up because...
This one?
Yeah, I wanted to kind of show you what is processed in the monitoring center within the next 24 hours. But I'm not saying this to impress you, but just to impress upon you the magnitude of what these centers do. So in ADT, we will process 500 million motion sensors and open-close signals. We will record 52 million video clips, arm and disarm systems 7 million times, lock and unlock doors 2 million times, adjust thermostat temperatures 1.3 million times, handle 63,000 alarms, and we will get the fire department to 2,000 homes. All that in a day's work.
It's a lot.
Yes, it's a lot.
That's just you?
That's just me.
So talk us through some of these big categories. I don't know. Can
Absolutely.
you see them comfort monitor for me? It's a
Yeah,
This
short-
one is hard for us to see, but
Yeah,
Okay.
it's hard.
you can
But
see the TV down there. Like,
yeah, I can't, but it's all good.
Okay.
So let's talk about how do we get this done, right? So ADT, when the installation is happening for the smart devices and security devices at the home, or if it's a new construction, a builder has placed some of these smart devices, and then we're adding a panel to kind of hook them all together. What we do with the power of the ADT control app, right? And which is powered by alarm.com, at the installation or through our virtual chat experience, we create scenes to make the security and the smart devices kind of work together so there's a marriage. So for example, in an ADT monitored home, if the smoke detector alarm is triggered and the HVAC is operating, we will shut down the HVAC so it doesn't circulate the smoke in the house and mitigate, that it doesn't fuel oxygen to the fire. So you have the smoke detector, first responders going out, your smart device mitigating loss. And we create all of these scenes for our home buyers depending on the product from a security component and from a smart component, all of these scenes, so they can remote manage themselves through their app on their phone, their tablet, or on the hub on the wall.
Are you configuring that from the head end, from the
Yes.
monitoring center? Okay.
So the
So the local installer will do some level of configuration. You guys can do quality control on that, and you can alter it on an ongoing
Correct.
basis for the homeowner.
And the other thing we can do as well is we give them some recommendations on what we're seeing out there.
Right. So talk a little bit about the response side of things.
So on the response side of things, so we have cloud-to-cloud service. So we have something called Alarm Messenger. So today, if anything is triggered at your home, an alarm, a motion of smoke, a carbon monoxide detector, you have the power to get an alarm messenger and let us know yay or nay, right? It was my kids just walking in the door. We're all good. So that's cloud computing. That's not even an agent being involved in that scenario. Now, if you say, yes, there's an issue, please, send responders, then that goes into the monitoring center and have the agent handle that call and call the first responder. So we have that as well. And the future development of those will be also audio to be able to talk through the phone, video to be able to chat with them through the phone, and going back and forth. The other piece we also work with is video. As you guys know, cameras. Cameras in the home, that's a very hot item for us. You have your video doorbell, but you have inside cameras, exterior cameras, and how can I verify that something really is happening in my home, especially when I'm out of town, or my kids are there, or my pets are there, right? Yeah. You have your dogs at home. Right. What's going on?
So this is the professionally monitored advantage on the video surveillance piece. There's a lot of cloud applications.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of self-serve, but not everybody looks at every notification they get on video. And so if there's an alarm sensed and video that can be tracked at a monitoring center, there's a better chance of timely response to that,
Absolutely,
right?
because those video verified alarms, those are high priority alarms now.
Yeah.
They're dispatching to those. They're getting someone out there.
The police have prioritized video verified alarms.
Video verified alarm is a high priority alarm because you actually can see the video app at the monitoring center. You can see it through your app. Yeah. Something's going on. I see smoke, or I see an intruder, or I see glass broken. Yeah. And absolutely, yeah.
So the other advantage of having this monitoring center, these head-end services, is the reporting piece, all of the information that can be fed back to the homeowner or to a builder or to an integrator on system usage. Some stuff's coming here on energy consumption, yeah?
Yeah, with our solar, ADT solar with SunPro, a lot of things with energy consumption, but a lot of reporting from the monitoring. And what we're doing from a future state and future evolution is we have 6 million customers. So we're taking all of this data that we know from a monitoring center perspective, these scenes, what happens, what gets triggered, what doesn't, how do we use these smart devices? And we're basically putting that in an AI, right? Artificial intelligence, trying to take a look at it. And the future of monitoring would be, in ADT, it's not going to be just, hey, let's disarm and arm your panel for the security features, but let's work it like we do carbon monoxide and smoke detectors today, that they're always on. So the security will be always on, meaning now what we can do is, in the near future, is anomaly detection, these algorithms, and then pattern behaviors. So what if, right, I tell you that in your home today it's taking a little bit too longer to cool, and you get that predictive alert. Or you're not at home, you're on vacay, the water's running. Like, what if I could tell you these things? And that's what the future and evolution of all of this reporting is telling us. Let's do an anomaly detection instead of just telling you, hey, something triggered. What if something went wrong? What if something is different from, the status quo that we know from your home? And the other piece is contextual awareness. What if you walked up to your front door, you have a bunch of bags, kind of like me, just went shopping, want to do one trip to the car, right? What if my door and my video doorbell and my lock know this, and they unlock the door for me, and I don't have to do anything? I just go right in. But they know I'm the homeowner and that's not just an intruder walking in. So that's kind of what's going on.
future.
The future, which
Yeah.
I'm super excited about.
Very good. Well, I think it's exciting. I mean, you guys have 6 million monitored accounts, so everything you do has to be run through the ringer, right?
Right.
And like everything needs to be super reliable and scaled, but I think that this broader set of services benefits from that, right? Because it'll be done the right way and it'll be done reliably. So thank you for sharing that. We're actually out of time. We're not going to be able to talk about UIs and platforms, but we'll tape record it sometime. It'll be for the after show.
We all have it.
So thanks to UTour for sponsoring this. Go see Tom at his booth. Thanks to all of our panelists.